Okay, good morning everybody. Tuesday morning, December 1st. Wow, it is, it's winter, isn't it? No doubt about it, especially with the snow yesterday. So, today, and I'm working on your tests. I'll have them done as quickly as I can. Today's objective has to do with dilating, which the dilation means both. I'm going to go ahead and move this over this way. Sorry, you guys. Dilation normally means to enlarge. But for us, it could also mean to make it smaller, to reduce, by a scale factor. Okay, so when we dilate or enlarge by a scale factor, we're going to need a reference point, a point to start with. So in this case, we're going to use the origin. That's that point right there for the xy axis, the origin, to be our reference point. So if we want to dilate ABC by a factor of 1.5, it should get bigger, right? 1.5, like 50% bigger. And what I'm going to do is use a ruler. So I'm going to measure, I'm going to call this O for the origin. So I'm going to measure all of these segments. So here we go. Measuring AO is about, I'm going to guess 2.3 maybe. So AO, I got it to be about 2.3 centimeters. I'm actually going to draw it in because this is partly how you do this. And I'm going to measure OB. And I'm going to guess OB to about 5. I'm going to have OB is about 5 centimeters. Draw that also in. It just helps me if I draw it in. And I'm going to draw OC. And OC is about 3.5. Okay, OC is about 3.5. Now, scale factor. So my scale factor is 1.5. So I'm going to take each of these and I'm just going to multiply it by 1.5, multiply it by 1.5, and multiply it times 1.5. Okay, pretty easy. Alright, just use my calculator. Let's see, I'm going to go ahead and go 2.3 times 1.5, and I get an answer of 3.45. So I'm going to write that down, 3.45, 5 times 1.5, I know that's 7.5, I know that one already. So that's 7.5. And then 3.5 times my 1.5, I get an answer of about 5.25. So let's draw in then, and I'm going to get a different color. Oh, purple. How about purple? Is this purple? Perfect, that's purple. So I'm going to draw in the new triangle. So I'm just going to go ahead and, from the origin, my reference point, I'm going to draw out 3.45. So I'm going to go from the, and I'm going to expand. I'm going to stretch it from A to O, 3.45. Okay. And I'm going to make a new point, call it A, little dash, which means A prime. That's A, we call it prime, okay? It's the image. And then I'm going to draw B prime, 7.5, so I'm going to extend B out to 7.5. Okay, there's B prime. And then let's draw OC prime, which is out at about 5.25, which is about there. And that is C prime. Okay, let's draw in the new triangle. So this new triangle is going to be 1.5 times the length, or the perimeter of it, than the original. Okay. So there we go. There's our A prime, B prime, C prime. Makes that triangle. Triangle, A prime, B prime, has a perimeter 1.5 times as big as the perimeter of ABC. That's just the image, and that's the pre-image. I'm going to write that down. That's the pre-image. It's kind of like the original, but pre-image is what they use. So pre-image means like before. It's like, what's the original, then poof, we got its image. Made it bigger, okay? Alright, example 2. Let's do the same thing. Now, it says dilate, but it's really going to shrink it, right? It's really going to do a reduction. How do I know it's a reduction? Because by scale factor of 2/3. So what I want to do is first, let's just label this. I'm going to go A, B, C, D, and let's use again our origin as our point of reference, okay? So let's measure. I'm going to need the length of AO. Let me get my AO. I need AO, and I'm also going to need OB. I'm also going to need OC, and I'm also going to need OD. Let's measure these, okay? Let's find out what they are. So, just use my ruler. I'm going to go in terms of centimeters. I'm going to get this to be about 3.2. Okay, I'm sure you guys got the idea. OB. Measure this to be about, that's close to 8, isn't it? Let's make it about 8, 7.8. I'm going to say 7.8. You guys can argue with me how accurate I am. OC is about 11, and OD is about 7. Okay, now we're just going to multiply these by 2/3 because that's my scale factor. Multiply that 2/3, multiply that by 2/3, and multiply that by 2/3, and multiply that by 2/3. Okay, so then calculator. Okay, here's how I'm going to do it. Watch, I'm going to go 3.2 times, and I'm going to go 2 divided by 3, that's 2/3, and we'll go about 2.1. I mean, we can't be totally too crazy about this, but 2.1 will work, okay? That's, okay, let's do the same thing here. We're going to go 7.8 times 2 divided by 3, 2/3, and I get an answer of about 5.2. Okay, same thing, 11 times 2/3, I get an answer about 7.3, and then 7 times 2/3, I get an answer of about 4.66. I'll go 4.7. We'll round up 4.7. Okay. Now my new one, C. So we'll go 2.1, but we're going to go from our point towards A, because A is coming in to 2.1. So about there. Call that A prime. B prime, just way out there. We're going to roll that into 5.2, which is about there. Okay, that's B. And then C is going to be 7.3. C prime. C prime is now going to be 7.3, which is about there. There's C prime. And then D prime is now going to be a 4.7. Right about there. And if I draw it in, it's going to look like this, isn't it? And I might even shade it so we can see it better. Okay, so that's my quadrilateral. Go ahead and shade it because here it is. Alright, Elena must like this when I use colors, huh? Nobody does it quite as nice as she does. Okay, there you go. So it's our quadrilateral. So I say quad, because it's a four-sided figure. Quadrilateral. A prime, B prime, C prime, D prime. And this is the image. And this is the pre-image. This is my image. Okay. Moving on. Okay, everybody good? So moving on. Okay, now, in this next example, they're already drawn for me, which is kind of nice. If I already drawn for me, so then what I'm going to do is just figure out what the scale factor is. So we've gone from here is my original, my pre-image, to this. So it's got smaller, hasn't it? So my ratio, okay, my scale factor is what I want, which is my ratio. It's got to go from the big to the small, which is 4 to 2, which is 2. Oh, it went the other way. Got smaller. Went from big to small. Yes. So 2 to 1. Golly, I'm messing this up. So it's going to go from a 4 to a 2. It's going to be of a scale factor of 1/2 because it's half as big. Sorry about that. Okay, so here's my original and here's my other. And it's going to go, and it's getting bigger, isn't it? So a ratio of 25 to 20, which reduces to 5/4. It has gone from bigger from smaller to bigger, okay? And this one, here's my image is way out there, so it's gone from smaller to bigger. So it's going to go 27 to 9, which reduces to 3 over 1. Okay, so there's my scale factor, okay? So you have to ask yourself which way it's going. Is it getting bigger or is it getting smaller? Okay, that's pretty simple, okay? Alright, last but not least, example 4. So it's so much easier to do with graph. I'll show you why. I'll show you after I graph it. So let's graph it first. So let's put down the pre-image. I'm going to go to -3, 1, call that A. I'm going to go to -4, 1, 2, 3, 4, and -1. That's B. Okay. I'm going to go to -2, -1, and that's C. So it's kind of a little itty-bitty triangle, right? So what I want to do with this triangle, though, is I'm going to give a scale factor of -3. Well, -3, what's that negative going to do? Let's find out. Well, since we have points, we're going to take all of our points, we're going to multiply all of them by -3. So let's multiply. So A prime, I'll show you. Let's scoot this over this way. So A prime is going to be -3, 1 times -3, which is going to be a positive 9, -3. Just multiply both the x and the y value, okay? That's A prime, okay? Let's do B prime. So if I do B prime, I'm going to take B, which is my -4, -1. I'm going to multiply it to my scale factor, which is my -3, okay? So then B prime is going to be, let's see, I'm going to get a positive 12 and a positive 3. Let's take C. So C prime is going to be take our -2, -1. We multiply by our scale factor, which is a -3, and we get an answer of positive 6, positive 3. Okay, so if we were to graph these, which we are going to do, we're going to go to 9, -3. So it flips it, doesn't it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then -3. So it completely flips it or rotates it 180. B is going to be at 12. So if this is 9, 10, 11, 12, and then positive 3. Okay, there's A prime, B prime, and then finally C prime is going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, and there it is. There's C prime. So I'm going to go ahead and draw that in, and then I want to make one little note about this. Okay, here's my new image. Okay, that's my new image. Okay, there's my new image. So, something to note, and I want you to see this. What did this negative do? Well, it turned it upside down, and it also flipped it. It did both. So it did this negative right there did a flip over both axes, or 180-degree rotation. It really did. And it made it 3 times as big. And 3 times dilated. Okay, that's all I have. It's pretty easy. I think you guys have seen this before. Make sure you guys do the work always, and this is not a difficult assignment. So here you go. That's all I have.